Hey Waffle Gang, I do hope you're well. My name is Mark and today we're checking out some more relationship stories, and if you do love a Reddit story, why not consider hitting that like, subscribe, maybe that notification bell too. Well, let's crack on with today's first story, which comes from Silly Struggle 2528 and says, am I the a-hole for not wanting to contact my son after he was the one who abandoned me? I, 45 female, have a son from my previous marriage. I got pregnant way too young at the age of 20 from my high school sweetheart, David, 45 male. We got married at the age of 22 after we graduated college. David was rich. He didn't want me to work, so I was just a housewife. My son was the apple of my eye. I gave everything to him. He was my world. He and I were really close, and I never had a doubt in my mind that I would not be alone in this world as long as I have him. That is until 10 years ago. I found out that my husband was cheating on me with a young colleague of his. And what is worse, my 15-year-old son knew about it. He hid the affair from me. Imagine how broken I was. I was betrayed by two people I care most in this world. I asked him why he did that, why he hurt me. His response was that his dad told him not to. He bought him gifts to keep his mouth shut, and having a young stepmom made him popular amongst kids. I was totally blindsided when I learned my husband took my little boy to meet that woman. They made excuses as they went on a ski trip and they took his mistress with them. I felt like a fool at that time. In the divorce ruling, my son chose my ex over me. I was heartbroken. My son didn't even want to visit me after it was all done. I even tried to reach out to him once he turned 18, but he just refused. At that point, I gave up and went on with my life. I'd still get sad over the years, wondering how he was doing. I did move on and met someone who was a single father of 2 girls. I married him, and a few days after our wedding, I got pregnant again. The pregnancy was a nightmare. I wanted to meet my son and tell him he's going to be a brother to a baby girl. The labor was painful. I almost died on the spot after giving birth to my daughter. I still wanted to meet my son, but I knew he did not want to see me, so I just gave up the idea. Over the years, the memories of him just became vague as I immersed myself into my new family. A week ago, I got a series of messages from him on my Facebook. He said that he missed me a lot and wants to meet up with me. It took me by surprise. Over the last 10 years, he has not contacted me, and now he wants to see me. Why? I've been going over every possible reason. The worst part is that I do not feel excited about it. As a mother, I know I should be over the moon, but I am not. My parents and husband know that. They've been pushing me to meet him. They say I need closure, after all, he is my son. But I don't know if I want to relive the same trauma. So, am I wrong? It is. Wow, I never thought it would get this amount of response, but thanks. I'll give an official update on this, but now I am in conflict. If I do meet him, I won't call him to my house, maybe a public place. I'm not sure if he wants something, but I will be cautious of that. Now for me in this one, I'm not saying it's right or wrong, but it sort of gave me the feeling of, I wonder what the husband was saying behind OP's back in this to the son. I mean, we've already read in this story that he was using some sort of manipulation tactics by buying him gifts to keep him quiet. Again, I'm not defending anything, I'm just trying to think of, you said yourself when you tried to reach out at 18, he just refused to see you. And I get why you'd feel so betrayed by your family and not want to see that again, but I think the question to me in the very end is, do you want that closure of some sort? Do you want to hear what he has to say? We've seen many stories in the past where people were just wanting to get back in touch, for money or something from you. I guess there's also going to be the chance that he's seen the error of his ways, and if you want to hear that or not is totally going to be down to you. I think if I was in your position, I would maybe want that closure. I'd maybe want to find out what's going through his head in that moment, what he was maybe told in the past. You don't have to forgive, you don't have to move past it, but you can still hear that closure. But it all depends on how it's going to affect you. I just think, again, for me, if I didn't hear what he had to say, it would always be in the back of my mind and, like being like an itch kind of thing. But Razmataz Certain says, you are not wrong for being hesitant. Opening yourself up to the possibility of being betrayed again has to be scary. You seem to be in a good place in your life now. Only you can decide the best course forward. The people who love you are pushing for this reunion because they likely think that a mother having their child in their life is always the best course. However, sometimes regardless of blood relation, certain people are not good for you. It will be hard for others to understand because they didn't experience your heartbreak. There is no right or wrong decision. Do what is best for your mental health. You could even decide to pause on a decision and tell him you need more time. I'm saddened that you experienced this level of pain. I wish you well. Rhetorical Twig says, also OP should remember that her son is still that person who preferred money, young/beautiful stepmom, and popularity so much that he helped walk all over his own mother and shunned her. The fact that it took him 10 years to reach out is disturbing. OP's son may have realized that the stepmom wasn't a true mother to him or whatever, but he is still the same guy who saw his mother through his very shallow, judgmental value system. And OP is 10 years older and won't be more glamorous or wealthy than she was when he last saw her and rejected her as inferior. Creven says, I have to bet that the dad has been poisoning him against you and has now realized as such and wants to make his own decisions. Not the a-hole. I get why you feel the way you do. I've just been in his shoes before, so in my opinion, it's worth a shot to give him a shot. Pigglepoo says, I want to give a different perspective here, as I was once in your son's position. My mother had no boundaries and I was her best friend as a child. As such, I knew about her affair and kept it a secret from my father at her behest. This was of course devastating for my father when it all came to light. These are complicated adult situations being foisted upon developing brains, and it can only lead to a warped sense of reality, confusion, guilt, shame, anger and resentment all around. I was totally enmeshed with my mother growing up and hated my dad when he tried to be the voice of reason. Only in adulthood could I look back and see how fucked up the whole thing was, and start to repair some relationships. I don't know the exact dynamic with your family, but it could be similar, and he may deserve a chance at a healthy relationship with you now that he has a fully developed adult brain, and possibly sees things differently. And one more comment from Beak, who says, I would ask him, what has changed after all this time to make you reach out to me? It has taken years for me to recover from the pain and sorrow that I felt when your dad and I divorced, and I don't want to go through that again. You've been going over every possible reason, but you're not going to find out unless you ask him. And you're right to be cautious because you've been hurt before. Anyone who tells you you should feel differently has no idea what they are talking about, but you're also the only one who can decide if you want to meet him. Whatever you do, protect yourself and your family from potential future hurt. Meeting him or talking to him isn't the same as welcoming him into your life with open arms. Before he meets his sibling and your husband, make sure that his intentions aren't malicious. He was a child when he cut you out of his life, and he may want to make amends, but he also might be a manipulative piece of shit who just wants to reopen old wounds. Only way to find out is to ask. And just a couple more bits of relevant information before we go on to the update from OP, who says, I checked the social media last time 5 years ago. The last post I saw was with his stepmother and the caption said, to the best mum in this world. I felt heartbroken. I scrolled through his feed, there was no mention of me, as if I never existed in his life. Another commenter was asking if OP did anything, and OP says, I didn't do anything. I didn't badmouth him or pushed him. He made this decision on his own. OP says again, the thing is, as a mother, I should be thrilled, but I am not. I'm afraid he will act nice, and then next thing I know, he's out of my life again, leaving me cold. So OP updates the post and says, a lot of you have been requesting me for an update. I finally met my son after so many years. He was not a boy anymore. He was a man. He looked taller than I remember. But anyways, I will give an update. I read your comments. Some of you gave me some good suggestions. I prepared myself for any possible outcome. He could be there to meet me and tell me about his life and maybe reconcile. Or maybe he wants something. Regardless of what it is, I'm keeping my guards up. I asked him to meet me in a public park. I asked my husband to be somewhere near so he could see me. My son came 5 minutes after I arrived. He was all grown up. I won't lie, I wanted to cry at that spot, but held my composure. He said hi to me and I smiled. I commented that he has grown up and looks really nice. He just nodded. We sat down and it was silent. I was expecting him to say something at first, but I finally asked what he was up to these days. He told me he is doing fine. He just finished college and is going to apply for grad school. I said that is great. Then it was an awkward silence again. He broke the silence and said, you must be wondering why I contacted you. I replied, for 10 years, you haven't tried to contact me, but why now? I cannot help but wonder why you're trying to contact me when you told me years ago that you don't want me near you because I embarrass you." His face got serious and he said, "I know that, but I need something from you. A lot of you suggested he must be here to ask me for money. Well, you guys were right. He asked me for money and the amount was 20k. He said he needed money because he wants to go to law school. His father can't afford it because he lost a lot of his money a few years ago due to a loss on his business, and his company was bankrupt. He also had 3 more kids with his mistress wife. That's why they do not have money for him to go to grad school." It just sank my heart. After 10 years, I was finally meeting him. I was hoping that we could reconcile and he would understand what I have been through, or maybe my husband was lying to him. But no, he just wants money from me. I told him I cannot give him money, not such a huge amount. He got defensive and kept saying why not. And then he asked, "Is this about Dad's affair? Geez, when will you get over it?" I asked him, "Why do you hate me? What have I done to deserve your hatred? Have I ever raised my voice? Have I ever hit you or said no to you? Then why? You always push me away when I try to get closer to you. Why and what did I do to deserve it?" He took a deep breath and said, "You don't understand, Mum. You really expected me to come with you. You had nothing. At least my dad could afford the lifestyle I wanted, and my friends actually liked Carla, his stepmom. Everything was fine until you discovered his affair and my deal with Dad. I get it, you didn't hit me or scold me, but you were not able to afford the life I wanted." I asked him if he really thinks his father's affair was actually the best way for any of us. I sacrificed a lot for him, and yet he chose someone who he only met when he was 14. He said he doesn't want to talk about that because it was so many years ago and I should just drop it. I asked him why didn't he ever try to visit me. I even asked if it was his dad who tried to stop him or any other reason, or is it something I did? I tried to reach out to him multiple times, but he never answered or tried to be there. I gave him space because I thought he was coping with a divorce too. He yelled at me that I was really annoying. His dad didn't stop him. It was he who didn't want to meet me because I lived in a small apartment with only 2 bedrooms. He hated living in a place like that and ignored me on his 18th birthday because the gift I had for him was pretty cheap and stale compared to what his dad and other people gave him. I agree. My gift was a box of his favorite cookies and an old vintage watch. I was struggling a lot at that time, so I couldn't afford to buy him expensive stuff. But does that mean he should have ignored me like that? I had enough of it. I told him strictly that I will not be giving him money. I spent years wondering where he is and how he is doing. He is still very disrespectful towards me. Throughout our whole conversation, he didn't even ask how I was. He just went straight to money. I was here hoping that we could move on. I had no idea how much of a mess I was when I learned the man I loved so much would betray me, and then my own son would lie to me for him. I thought we had a special bond. My head has been going through a lot of conclusions. Maybe his dad was lying to him about me. Maybe he was mad about something I did, but now I have the picture. I do not want to be his ATM. I wanted to be his mother even when he rejected me. I'm tired of feeling rejected and getting mistreated and taken for granted. He kept saying and getting even more defensive that I cannot do this to him. I'm ruining his life. I told him no. I cannot trust him to give so much money. He told me to cut the BS because he knew I have money now and I can easily give him some. I told him no again and again. He at one point stood up and blamed me and screaming that I ruined his life, that I owe it to him. I called my husband and he rushed towards me to keep my son away from me. I know now that I should have trusted my instincts. I cried a lot when I came home. I lost him forever. I know a lot of you will call me a bad mother. You will call me a narcissist. But I'm sorry. I've spent a lot of time in therapy to get over the pain of losing my husband and son. I cannot have him in my life only to be used as an ATM. Even if I gave him the money, there is no guarantee that after getting the money, he will not ghost me or push me away, and then when the money runs out, he will come to me again to ask for more. I cannot go through this similar pain. I may be able to forgive him for what he said to me, but I don't think I will ever forget what he said. He hated me because I had no money. I would have been fine with weekly visits from him, but he never even wanted that. Additionally, I discovered during our conversation that he was the first one to find out that my husband was having an affair, and he asked his dad to buy him a new phone in exchange for not telling me. I lost. That's all I have as an update. I'm sorry if there were any mistakes. It was hard to write and form sentences and put it all in a few words. And no, his birthday was not the only time I reached out like many of you assumed. I tried to reach out to him before that many times. He said he didn't want to or had other excuses. I respected his decision and didn't bother him much. I finally gave up trying when he was 18, but I still checked his social media for quite a while until I gave up that too. And a couple more relevant comments from OP, who says, it was not that he was asking me for money after so many years, but it is just I don't know if he will use that money for some bad use like drugs or gambling. Also, I have no way to confirm he's telling the truth about grad school or not, so it seems risky to give such a huge sum just like that. Another comment says, I at least have my daughters, but I still feel bad that they will never get to know their brother. Next comment says, I do have more money than before, but 20k disposable income is too much. And when OP said at the end of this that they should have trusted their instincts, and I'm not sure if that means that they shouldn't have went to go to that meet or not. Again, I'm going to have to commit from my opinion because only OP knows what's truly best for their own mental health. But I think for me, I would have still wanted that meetup just to get this information that OP's got in this story, to find out what their son is actually like. That he was just after the money, just thinking about himself, just trying to get more stuff out of people like he did with his dad and the affair before. And although it's very easy for me to say, as I always say, sitting behind a microphone here, I think finding out this information, finding out what he's like, would put my mind not at ease, but like give me the information that he hasn't grown up to be, a wonderful adult who's changed and all this sort of thing. He's grown up to still be someone who still doesn't respect you and just showing his true intentions. And I'm really sorry that OP had to go through that. And I hope you realize that it's not you. And I wish you all the best for your healing process going forward. But now I'm going to turn this one to you guys. What do you guys make of this situation? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. And let's move on to another story. And our next story comes from Subject Alarm 8304, who says, am I the a-hole for telling my friend that I don't care about her pregnancy that much? Kayla, female 26, and I, female 25, have been friends for around 10 years or so. We're good friends, we just have been drafting away recently because our lives are too different. She got married and I'm happy for her because that's something she wanted. Her husband is also a good man and that's nice. I was a bridesmaid and celebrated her, even though I'm not a big wedding person, because obviously that was about supporting a friend and not about me. Now she's pregnant, around 5 months, and I'm also happy for her. She's very excited to be a mum. I'm not a person who likes kids or wants them myself, however, I can be happy for people around me who want them. I'm not one of those bitter child-free people who hate kids/parents. Her family lives a few hours away, so she often asks me to go with her to appointments if her husband can't, or to do something like that. I'm happy to help her out and I don't mind it. I'm also happy to know that everything's okay with the pregnancy and her child. It's okay if she wants to talk every once in a while about that or something they brought for the baby, etc. I can tolerate that. However, she wants to talk about her pregnancy/baby all the time we're together. I think she's testing my patience or something. Every time I try to talk about something else, she somehow turns the conversation to her pregnancy. It's irritating. Like we could be talking about work and she turns the conversation about her maternity leave or something. Or we could be talking about something personal to me and she would tell me something regarding marriage and when you're a mum or stuff like that. It's annoying. Yesterday, I was having a bad day. Honestly, I had a bad week because I broke with my boyfriend and I had to work on Saturday. I was tired and just wasn't in a good mood. We already had plans to have dinner together, so as I did not feel like going out, I invited her to my house and we ordered takeaway. We ate and were talking afterwards. I was just ranting about life to her and such, and then she somehow turns the conversation again to her pregnancy. She started telling me about her back hurting and how she felt the baby kicking and such. She went on like that for 10 minutes until I got tired of it. I told her so. I said, I don't care much about pregnancies. Can we talk about something else? She was very angry and she told me she was telling me about something important to her. I told her that it's only important to her. I don't care to know every single detail of her pregnancy and we can find something else to talk about just for once. She got more upset and called me an arsehole and a bad friend. We argued and then she left. Now she's angry and doesn't answer my texts. Am I the a-hole? I feel like I acted wrong, but she also is tiring with just talking about the pregnancy all the time and I snapped. Edit. I broke off with my boyfriend because we've been talking about marriage and kids. He wants them and I don't, so it was a deal breaker for him. My friend knows this. She knows this was a big issue for us, and she tells me all the time that I'll change my mind about the kids sooner or later. Maybe that's part of the reason why I snapped too. But Lala says, not the a-hole, it seems like your friend doesn't realize how much space they're letting their pregnancy take up space in your conversations, and she's being a bad friend to you. Truly not everything is about her pregnancy. While this is her whole life right now, it shouldn't be completely define your friendship, and she should be able to have the self-awareness to understand that when you need support for the big things in your life, she gives you ample time. It sounds like you were dealing with the frustration for a while and didn't mention it earlier, and it all came out in a moment of anger. It happens. I'll try to reach out and explain you obviously care about her pregnancy and understand it's a huge thing going on in her life, but also express your feelings about still needing support and attention and acknowledgement about the big things going on in your life. If she doesn't get it after that, maybe not immediately but with some time, and just give her space. Unfortunately, some people, when they have kids, become very self-centered, talk only their children, and forget about how to be good friends to the people in their lives. She might be one of them. If she can't figure out her pregnancy should not be the center of every conversation, then she's definitely going to be talking non-stop about her kids and being a mum, and it will just be exhausting and create a wedge. Good luck, and also you sound like a good friend. Hang in there. But now I'm going to turn this one to you guys. What do you guys make of this situation? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. And just a huge thank you for spending your time with me today, getting involved in the stories, your love, your support, your time always means the absolute world to me. So thank you so much for being involved. I just had a notification today from YouTube that I got 100 million views on the channel. I'm just like, holy bloody shit. It's scary, man. That's a lot of people. I don't know, the majority will be the same people clicking in for different episodes and stuff like that, but still scares the shit out of me. But thank you so much, and hopefully I will see you in the next one. Take care and much love.